Welcome to Meet the Biz.
Oh, hi, baby. How you doing?
David.
You know why I'm dancing, because we have one of the best. He's a triple threat. He is a dancer, a singer, an actor. He is a true entertainer in every sense of the word. And I'm quoting this from his bio. His incredible talent ranges from dancing to singing to acting, and he has performed in some of the world's most acclaimed productions. He's here today with us. He has a credit list that I could go through and we will talk about during his visit. We'll bring him on here. Shaun Earl. Shaun Earl.
Hello, everybody.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. I know it's morning and it's hot in LA.
Yeah.
Look at this. Oh, look at the pictures that Chris collected today. She always collects certain pictures of our guests, which will come through I love this. So I have a question, of course, okay, remember my name? Fame. You were on Fame from 85 to 87.
Yes, I did the last 2 seasons of the show. When Debbie switched from being a choreographer to just only wanting to direct, she called in a guy named Jaime Rogers, who's legendary from West Side Story.
Yeah.
And so they had to also get rid of the dancers from the first 4 years because you have to graduate from high school at some point.
Yeah.
So we were like the new breed for the last 2 seasons. Yeah, but it was quite the adventure.
Amazing. How did you get that?
Well, it was a little before they had dance agents. So a lot of casting calls were either through Dramalog or, backstage, all the things. So, you have SAG calls or non-union calls and you go to the audition. At that time, we had Debbie Reynolds Studios that's no longer here.
Right, I remember that one.
Yeah, so it was a big cattle call with Jaime Rogers and you narrowed down. I probably had, it was an audition and then a callback. The callback was at MGM Studios where they filmed it, which is now Sony Pictures, but it was in Culver City. Right. And the process of elimination, and then I got it.
And there you go. And then it was history.
Yeah, it was amazing because I think that was kind of like a big start because I had done lots of videos and things before that and toured with the dance company randomly because I wasn't ever planning to be a dancer. And growing up, there wasn't really, a reason to dance, especially for men, unless like on the platform of like variety shows, Carrie Burnett and all that, but they look more like ensemble as opposed to doing such hardcore dancing.
Yeah. I
watched Soul Train for inspiration because dancing was just stuff that's trendy, not like technique.
Right.
So when the video craze happened, I didn't know that people were trained as dancers. So I would just go to auditions and get them.
Yeah.
Because I was good at imitating. So I felt like I was acting as a dancer.
Yeah.
The first part of my career as a dancer because I was playing the role of a dancer, pretending to be a professional dancer amongst other professionals, not knowing what it took because once you have a job and you start having conversations, right, people start talking about, scholarship programs and right, learning dance since they were 5, 6, 7 years old and going to college, from Juilliard to, Carnegie Mellon, all the things. So I kept my mouth shut because then I was like, oh my God, they're going to find out that I'm not that dancer. And I thought maybe they'll find out on the job because in my mind, I thought you learn everything in school and then you go out and then it happens. But if you think of Thriller, the Michael Jackson, there's not a monster dance lesson you can take. Right. So a lot of choreographers emulate their style as opposed to, if you're at the ballet company, of course, it's ballet terms. It's the movement. But lots of dance, when it comes to jazz and modern, is the expression of the theme of whatever the job is. For Thriller,
Right.
they had a lot of professional jazz dancers, but this was monsterography. You know what I mean? So you have to be able to adapt to the style of what is presented to you.
Yeah.
So my advantage was that I didn't have a bad habit of like maybe being from a classroom setting and the way technique is represented there, where people were caught up in that bubble of technique and they're dancing like the teacher in their studio. My palette was blank. I was able to be molded because I was able to emulate whatever style I had seen. I didn't have to break any habits.
Right.
So in hindsight, that's what I was realizing why I would keep getting jobs versus the people that trained that I was intimidated by, who danced at the audition like they were in a dance studio, dancing for a dance teacher.
Yeah.
And then the singing part of me and the musicality part of me emulated the vibe of whatever the choreography was, because that's where my heart is as well. And then wanting to act as well, as opposed to just being a stick figure doing technique and no expression, no soul, no anything attached. So that was a blessing in disguise how I entered into it. But when I did Fame, because it was representing something that I've never done, it's the high school performing arts. And that's not I have no reference to that. So in hindsight, that was like my boot camp.
Right.
Because I was praying every episode, like, because now we're going to do ballet. Now we're going to do modern. Now we're going to do an African number. You know, all the things were emulating what you would learn in a school that I haven't attended. So
Right.
I was always learning on the job.
Oh my gosh.
You know, so when I finished the 2 years, I literally felt like I graduated from the high school performing arts.
That's an amazing story. And you have gone so many places, and I'm so blessed to have met you on the wonderful short that we did,
Yeah, with Shanice, yes.
with the wonderful Shanice.
Mm-hmm. I met her right out of high school. We performed, back then, The Facts of Life was a big hit. And Kim Fields, her mom, is very talented, and she was a writer and produced like musicals. And at the Inner City Cultural Center in LA, a friend of mine recommended me to meet up with them because they were doing a performance of In Command of the Children.
Right.
And that's where I met my Shanice. And we all got to perform. I think I see her right now.
There she is. She's coming here to say hi.
Hey, Shanice.
How are you in the car there?
Yeah.
Hi, Flex.
Hey, Earl Bean.
Earl Bean, he said.
Hey. That's the nickname they gave me.
What's up, Dave?
Oh,
Shaun.
Hey, boo. I was getting to the part where I met you when we did In Command of the Children.
I know, you know what? That was one of the best times of my entire life. You know,
He grounded us, right? It was like our.
I tell you this all the time, but you are just like one of the greatest human beings I've ever met. And In Command, like I was like 8 years old, and you would always look out for me, and we just bonded from the first time we met. So I just wanted to join in to tell you how much I love you, how much I appreciate you.
Love you the most.
I'm the number one fan.
And I'm your number one fan.
well, I love you dropping in. I know you're off and running.
You too.
Yeah, we're on our way. Sheila E's about to get her star, so we're gonna go see Sheila E get her star right now.
Well, have fun. That should. What an honor.
Yes. Love you, Uncle David.
Love you, Shanice. Love you, Flex.
He said,
I hope you recovered from all the barbecue and mac and cheese.
Oh my God. I gained 100 pounds. It was wonderful.
oh yeah, same here.
Oh,
I love you, Shaun. And I just want to say this quick story. I'm such a fan of Shaun's that when we did this play together when I was 8 years old, he would sing this song called We Have Lost Our Hero. And I would stand in the wings every show and listen to Shaun sing that song. That was like my favorite.
And it was the shortest song in the show So it makes me laugh every time she tells me that. Because I felt like I joined the company kind of late.
Yeah.
And because they realized that I could also sing, Chip felt compelled to like have me sing something. So I felt like it was so nice of her, but I thought it was like the sympathy song.
Oh, no.
It was like,
I love that
oh,
one.
give him
That was
something.
my favorite.
Like they say, no part is too small.
It's all right. So it's cute that she really would watch it. And she'd always copy my little riff that I had. And it's like, really, are you making fun of me?
See? Oh, yeah, I've been a fan since day one.
Right. So it's funny. Yeah.
Oh my God. I
Okay.
love it.
I
Well,
want to tell you I love you. I'm not going to take up
I
too
love
much
you.
of your time.
We'll talk soon. I'll see you soon, okay?
Bye.
bye. Thank you for joining.
Of course. Bye.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. No, so now, so you met where on the?
It was the Inner City Cultural Center. Chip Fields wrote a musical called In Command of the Children. Around that time, there were a lot of the Atlanta killings, and she kind of made it look like it was spirits versus, not even versus, the people that died were in heaven looking down on earth.
Oh, wow.
And there was like this major force trying to rid evil from the things that were going on in the world. So it's kind of like a two-dimensional type of thing. And it was really, really cool. We did lots of shows, because backers were coming, Pepsi was coming, with hopes of it becoming a Broadway show. But we got to do it at the Inner City Cultural Center, but then we got to tour around California as well.
Oh, wow.
But Shanice was one of the spirits like I was. And she had that amazing voice at that age. And it was like God-given crazy, like she'd come in and and her mom, because her mom sings,
Yeah.
it was just funny to hear her get the song presented to her, come back from her mom that would like refine it and give it all the, the little dinks.
Yeah.
And this young thing with this old spirit, this soul, this control of her voice.
Yeah.
And she was one of the showstoppers for sure in the show.
Wow.
That's how long I've known her.
Wow. That show sounds amazing. I want to see it.
It was such a good concept. It really was. We don't know really business-wise what happened because, everyone's always pitching things. There's always red tape and blah, blah. It could have been ahead of its time. I'm not sure if they thought, showing spirits. I don't know. But people that would see it enjoyed it, and people still remember it. Malcolm Jamal Warner was part of it. Teresa Rando. Like a lot of people, we were all young.
Yeah.
That kind of expanded our careers later. We're grounded in that. She even wrote a musical called Christmas in Never Neverland, and she made me Peter Pan, who comes back on Christmas.
Oh.
So Captain Hook, Shmi, all of them kind of formed. She was so creative and wrote her original songs and everything. It was so good. And at that time, it was rumored that Michael Jackson was going to do Steven Spielberg's version of it.
Oh, right.
Right? So I had the likeness of Michael to her, and I had the same hair, and when he had a complexion, I was always compared to him. So she had me do it, and she also had him come see the show.
Oh my God.
That was around the time Emmanuel Lewis was alive. Not alive, but around.
Right.
Webster, so he came to see the show too. And I made friends with Webster. I didn't get to see Michael because he left before the fanfare. He had to leave because everyone was watching him watch me do the show. And gave every reaction that he had. I'm like, but you're supposed to watch me too.
Oh, no. I'm sure they watched you too.
I was like, they watched Michael watch me. So it was kind of funny. Yeah.
Oh my God. I guess that does happen, but I don't know.
So we had to leave. Yeah.
Oh, well, you've done so much. I mean, and beside working with Shanice, you danced with Paula Abdul.
Yes, so I got to sing with her. When she first launched, I met Paula Abdul originally. You run into each other, and I was doing Fame at the time. So when she had the reign of Janet Jackson and all that stuff, when she blossomed, we'd run into each other, and we always said we wanted to work with each other. And then finally, when Coming to America came into fruition, and she was a choreographer for that, I finally got to audition for her and got that part. And then from there, I was also recording with Karen White, doing background vocals, because Babyface in LA actually sought after her when she had a record deal. So I was doing session work and stuff and hanging out with her during her sessions. So we got to hear Paula's first single that they didn't know it was going to be her first single, but the song Knocked Out. So that was like a secret I was holding because we knew she was pursuing it, but nobody knew the material.
Right.
Everyone was curious if she could sing or not. It was just a big deal, a hush hush. So when we were doing Coming to America, I sang her the hook of her song in her ear, and she was like, oh, come here. Why do you know that? And I told her I did session work for Babyface in LA and I was doing Karen's album. So then I did her very first video because she wanted like a dance spectacular, like for her very first video with all the best dancers. So I did that. Then she formed like a foursome to sing with her and to dance with her when she was doing all the promotional tours. Because back then we had Club MTV and Soul Train and all the venues that you do to promote your, album. And so I was part of the beginning, even before Straight Up was released. And I did like the first 3 videos. I did Knocked Out, It's Just the Way That You Love Me, and Straight Up. And then got to see it all manifest. And she had 2 songs, Opposites Attract, and another song where I got to do the duets with her. So it was fun to also sing with her. So it was fun for the promotional stuff because it was just 4 of us where we looked like we were a group. You know what I mean? It wasn't splattered. And then it's more up close and personal because you're doing Top of the Pops in London. We got to do the Princess Trust because when we were in London doing the shows out there, Lady Diana and Prince Charles, they do the Princess Trust every year. Yeah. So they called us back. So we did the Princess Trust, And so we just traveled Germany and all the places where instead of it being a big band and all that, you're just doing more track dates. And it's just 4 of us with her. So it was more intimate, more fun. You know what I mean? Yeah. So those are all the things I had to do with her in the beginning. And then it launched and then Straight Up came out and it blew up. Yeah. So I did the Apollo with her too. I got to sing with her on that. And it was fun to be utilized. Cause I mean, I didn't really know there was a level. And as hard as dancers work, they're not usually respected as much because it's not like I'm going to headline at the Greek Theater as a dancer and people are going to see me. So we're usually highlighted because we're dancing behind someone, not really. Not until So You Think You Can Dance a Man happen. There's a name attached to a dancer because they get to reign as their person, they're competing. But being recognized on videos and things like that, I guess, because I always had curly hair and I look different. I was known for that because visually I was known, but it's not a name attached. So you don't really elevate beyond that. Even if you're a union gig, if it's a commercial, whatever, it's not a speaking part. So if you do a film or movie and you're speaking, you have your dressing room. You can be like, hey, get off my table. And you'll literally have a dressing room. Yeah. Yeah. You'll dance a whole scene, knees hurting, legs, feet up, and you're sharing dressing rooms and you're waiting in line for your costume. It's just a different protocol. Not knowing, I was just happy because I was in the business and doing what I loved and surprisingly doing beyond what I even dreamed of and imagined. But there are levels when you sing and you pre-record and all that. But I never really fought for the spotlight that way because I just enjoyed doing things I loved. So it would always surprise people if they found out that I sang or act because they were just admiring me as such a great dancer. And they usually think when you're good at something so well, you do everything else minimal, They're always like, well, so what do you really do? But what do you consider yourself? And it was just funny because I was known first as a dancer when I'm still laughing at the fact that they really think they're taking me serious as a dancer. Yeah. So when they're really putting me in that position, I'm like, do I dare say I act and sing too? You know what I mean? Yeah. Because no one has seen it on a larger scale. Right. And then things started happening, even with fame. Some people got to see me do stuff for Chip Fields with Kim Fields. Oh, right. So then one time we had to do a benefit for Red Cross or something like that. And it was for the first time in town. And we already did a number called Baby I'm a Star from Prince that the principals got to do when we danced. So sometimes we'll do some of our performances on the show and make it a number that's live because fans of the show remembered it from the TV show. Right. And Carlo happened to be missing from that show and they knew that I sang, the people that had seen me outside of the show, and asked if I can just do Carlo's part. Just so happened the major executive producer of the show was in town because we were in town finally to do a benefit show, and he saw it. Baby I'm a Star is not anything that shows your vocal range, basically. So I wasn't even pressured. I was just like, what part, what verse? And I did it. when I came back on the set on Monday, I mean, it was like, Shaun sings. Oh my God, I didn't know. It was like, it was a thing. And I'm like, when did I sing? I forgot that I even did that.
Yeah.
And he started writing me in as a recurring character just so I can sing. So I did like a thing called Three Cool Cats with she and Anthony Ray. And I did What a Woman Wants with Debbie Allen. Like I got to I did like the last season, there's a song called Get Back to Something New.
Yeah.
That was representing after the summer, we go back to school. So it shows us all like leaving our life and then getting back into the frame of mind of school. Then it's a big production number at the school, out in the streets and dancing and everything. I'm like literally singing the song, but you're not looking at me sing. I got to sing the song for the sound check of the opening number. So it's used in different elements just to sing, you know.
Yeah.
But no one would even know even then if they watched it. They're just thinking, oh my God, there's the guy dancing again. Because I'm not lip syncing or anything, you know what I mean? So
where do you get this? You have such a powerful core about you, a powerful, like it's like a soul. We're talking about possibly past lives. You have this center about you that's so confident and loving at the same time. How do you get that? Where did you get that?
Well, it's weird because I'm not looking at myself outside of myself. As much as I'm present, I'm not knowing the effect that I have on people for that to be what you're saying.
Yeah.
And it carried through during my most insecure times because I'm telling you, I'm grounded when it comes to just knowing that it's God-given. So I'm not on any level feeling like I can take credit for any of this.
Right.
And I think even more so because I don't have, I guess, a background of saying, well, I started at Dolly Dinkle School of Dance, and then I ventured off to do Pray, and I was on a 2-year scholarship program, and then I went to Carnegie Mellon. And then like, I don't have the background of that to then stand by it with that type of confidence.
Yeah.
You have no idea. You know, when you see cartoons and the person just going do 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 do, and the piano just misses them, but they're unaware, and then the car just, you know, like people laugh at my life that way because it looks like I just went, okay, I'll try it. Okay, I didn't know, you know, and they make fun of me when they find out that I didn't know.
Yeah.
But in it, because I guess I'm drawn that way, I come off as confident just because I think that's the picture of what you see. Inside, my eyes are crossed and my armpits are sweating. Because I'm playing the role of like, well, I have to do it now. I have this job and I have to go through with it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But there's an adventurous side to me. And there's a part of me that used to emulate what's going on in my life with my cousins when I was little, because I always wanted to be an actor and perform and do whatever. And I knew I moved well because they used to always ask me to dance at family reunions or like when the latest dances are in, they're like, come on here, Shaun, and dance with us or whatever. And I'd be that person. But even then, I didn't like to be by myself.
Yeah.
So when I knew we have another event happening with our family, I'd make my cousins learn a dance routine so I'm not by myself. So even when we're doing that, we're acting like we're having rehearsals, you know, like 5, 6, 7, 8. Like, Avis, you're being lazy, do it again. And so we're like playing the role of that in the midst of like really trying to learn it. Yeah. So then when I'm living my life and I'm like, oh, I feel like rehearsal. I'm like, oh, I used to act like that. But I really live in my life now saying, I don't want to go to rehearsal. Like it's all like manifesting in real time. You know what I mean? So it's like that. But I've always been called an oso, like I'm an only child. The things that came out of my mouth, even to my mom, you know, when they say you can learn from your kids or you, whatever. I always had things come out of me that were profound in this from an adult's perspective, because like, why do you're not supposed to know that? Right. Child. And people think you have to experience things in order to do whatever. And sometimes I'm definitely the voice of reason to a lot of my friends. And I'm not going through what they go through, but I kind of can, they'll come to me crying. They'll come to me, give me a scenario of just drama in their life. And I'm kind of like, I saw that on Young and the Restless. You really threw the noodles in the kitchen, and then what happened? Like I'm watching it, there's stuff like, because I'm thinking people have control over being in their circumstance or getting out of it. Yeah. So I make them watch their own movie, so to speak, where now people talk about, you know, reflection and looking at yourself and blah, blah, blah. I made it into like, if you saw yourself on screen, you'd be the smartest person in the movie theater yelling at the person that's playing your part. You know what I mean? So I have a funny way of throwing it back to them without being on a pedestal or judgmental about it, just to humanize it, but still make it light, but then change, do your thing.
Yeah.
But the confidence for me is knowing that God's working through me, knowing that he's blessed me, and knowing that he gives us things so that we could use it.
Yeah.
But on a competitive level, I've never been that way, because I think what's mine is mine, what's yours is yours. And you just have to have patience and be ready when opportunity knocks so that you can bring forth, the goods. And I started learning what I was accidentally doing later on, after I was known as a dancer,
Yeah.
by taking class. I couldn't start with Jazz One because I'm entering a class where people already recognize me.
Right.
But I went to a teacher named Bell Caldwell, who was advanced, but he was very vocal. And even though he thought, and he would use me as an example, but I didn't know technically that I was doing it correctly. But my body kind of naturally fell in line. So when we do plies or something, he said, like Shaun, knee over the toe, you have to make sure you're in alignment. My alignment was natural, but now I knew, note to self, this is what it should be, so I'm not accidentally doing it. You know what I mean? So I was able to kind of catch up to myself subtly, but I was still only taking twice a week. And now I'm excited, thinking I'm training now. And in hindsight, everyone's taking 5 classes a day, and I'm excited that I'm taking twice a week.
Yeah.
It still wasn't as full as I realized, but I'm still fighting these things out years later. You know what I
Now,
mean?
did you start taking those classes before you were the role of Angel?
Yeah, Angel happened way later. Angel happened in '97, after
Okay.
I had finished 3 years touring with Reba McEntire.
Right.
Then I got the part of Angel, which doesn't require that much dancing at all. I was able to incorporate more of a finesse of movement. I had more to work with when I did do the production number Today for You, Tomorrow for Me. That's when I revealed in drag, and I have the platform high heels, I jump on the table. I was able to do more than probably your basic or your original Angel, because I was able to tell the story differently because of my movement. But it's not really a dance show at all, because you have to, like when you play the drug dealer and you play all the other things, you're homeless, the choreography was more pedestrian, so it was actor movement. You know what I mean? A lot of people that were dancers, they were like saying, like, no, you're making it too pretty, you're homeless, you're a drug addict. You know what I mean? So you had to shake all that out. So it was actors and dancers that moved well, but that was a rock opera. It was all singing. So that was a whole another level, because people had never seen me do that. Because I was so convincing as this diva dancer, that when that actually came to fruition, and I'm one of the co-stars in it, it was like overwhelming to a lot of people, because they're seeing, first of all, I'm acting, then the transformation into drag, then AIDS, and then I die and people cry. It was like so much when they just thought, oh, Shaun's one of the best dancers. You know what I mean? So it was just like a whole nother
So
level.
that opened up doors for them to really see, boy, he's an actor and a singer.
And a dancer that move, because everybody just put me in a box. Because if I did session work, unless you were on tour with Shanice, or you're in the studio hearing me do stuff that you won't see, you won't know that I sang. And a lot of times it's separate. I never had on my bucket list to be on Broadway, because stereotypically, even being here or whatever, even as an actor, I didn't look like Bobby Brown. So I'm too exotic for writers when they're thinking Black character.
Yeah.
So I'm ethnic, but when they're literally writing for a Black character, or even when I was pursuing a record deal, when they're approaching me, because I had the curly hair and the whole thing, it's so boxed. It's really weird that is open and diverse the industry is, they still try to cater to the Midwest.
Right.
They still put you in the box of stereotypes. And so when all this stuff happened in 2020 and they're wondering why everybody's so ignorant, I'm like, you cast people to believe the narrative that they still believe in, and then that's how we look to them. I'm supposed to be in a hoodie, I'm supposed to have a flat top, I'm supposed to be one note for a Black person. And I didn't look like that. If I came from Europe, it would have excused my sense of fashion and my hair. But because I was from LA, are you Black enough to be signed? Or is Black radio going to play? It became a color thing.
You just said Black enough. It reminded me of the song in Shanice's show, 44. I was hearing that last night. Right. And to be, what is it though, going through that? I mean,
it was oddly, I was living in my skin anyway. What for me, I went to 8 elementary schools, 2 junior high schools, and 3 high schools. And
Mm.
a partridge in a pear tree. So with that being said, I was never in a bubble.
Yeah.
And so that's life I knew. When I was in LA, I was at private schools in the beginning, but I was around a lot of different nationalities and
Right.
races. Then I moved to Laguna Beach. I'm the only one of 3 Black people in the school. Moved to Pomona, I'm with the Cholos and the Black people. I kept switching around, so I never was in one bubble, and I got to meet a diversity of people. My mother was a hippie from Three Dog Night, Cosby, Still, Nash and Young, to the Isley Brothers. So I was well versed even with music. So I didn't know that we had a box.
Yeah.
When we were growing up, we listened to Captain and Tennille and Love Hangover and OJ's, and it was the radio station we heard. So you liking everything. I didn't know there was a rule of how to be Black versus, for Marvin Gaye, what's going on? Like, I'm listening to my mother with her friends, and that's our influence. And then Soul Train became Soul Train, where it seemed like that music was still diverse because it was just popular songs, but at least it was Soul Train. You didn't see, until Tina Marie came into the scene, you didn't really see too many white people on, or Kool and the Gang. You know what I mean? Not Kool and the Gang. What was that? Make a Little Love, Get Down Tonight.
Get down tonight.
AC and Sunshine Band.
Oh, right.
It was like, oh my God, he's funky for a white boy, So we saw people come in that way. But when I started doing the music and the acting, and I always look like me, and I've always been called pretty and not handsome. And it was always, my mother was trying to communicate how I could be labeled if I did not overcompensate.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the beauty I had versus looking rugged. So I didn't know why she was saying it, because I wasn't exercising anything sexually to even understand what that meant. And I didn't know that the undertone of just sexuality was so strong once you grew up. But all the things that she was telling me about and warning me against, because I wasn't drawn that way as well. And I was like, Mom, I'm not going to act like what's up and do all that stuff, because that's acting. If you hire me to play that role, I do it, but I'm like, you told me to be myself.
Yeah.
So I'll know who my friends are. And I can be feminine, but that takes a lot of work too. But if I'm just going to be judged being feminine because I'm pretty, I'm sorry, I'm not overcompensating, but gear it into the world and auditioning, then it's assumed because of the label of that, and they cast you accordingly.
Mm.
And when you see, like, I've been on hold for commercials.
Yeah.
One time it was a cup of noodle thing. They had us have creative ways of eating the noodle, and it was just fun or whatever. And I was on hold and on hold and on hold, almost had it. And then when I saw who got it, the person was like 4 times darker, had the flat top. I saw what they wanted us to look like for the demographics of the world. But what was blessing, I still managed to work, but it will be, maybe, and I'm still identified as Black, but it's just weird when it became principal stuff, not Black enough. On that level. So when recording, people were trying to put me in this box. I'm like, because the pop department saw me as universal. Whitney's universal.
Yeah. Okay. So you were talking about boxes, which I'm so about breaking out, screw the F the box kind of thing.
Yeah.
How we say, forget the box. How do we get other people to get rid of the box?
Well, I think there's a lot more boxes now because of pronouns.
Yeah.
If I was probably doing everything the way things are now, even if it was assumed I was gay with a record deal or not, it's a little more open, as opposed to then with it just being, because even Michael Jackson, he was pretty with hair. He had the same hairstyle. He mocked his hairstyle after me because his hair didn't grow after the fire. My roommate did his hair. So every time even I auditioned for him, they're like, the likeness is so similar. They would have me to the very end, but the likeness, you know what I mean? So, but everything he did was, I'm bad. It was street. He was forcing the narrative of even being that. We had to be that. Everything I auditioned for, even if it was a movie or break-in and it was street versus jazz. It was like everything was street.
Yeah.
And tough and whatever. So to come out as a singer, if I came out and I said I was from Germany like Milli Vanilli, that would excuse me having hair like them, and then I have an accent. But I'm from LA and Bobby Brown's out.
Mm.
So A&R has to not take a chance, but can guarantee their job. Every
Mm.
now and then a Tracy Chapman can slip through, or, you know, like other people that are odd. But when it's on the Black market too, we didn't really have much of an option. White people can sound soulful and do all the things and they get credit for it.
Mm.
Whitney was booed at Soul Train Awards because white people liked her. But not only white people, the world liked her. But in the record industry, it's black and white. They don't talk about Mexicans, they don't talk about Asians, they don't talk about the whole world that she's touring around. It's just a black and white fight in the industry.
Why can't it be Whitney or Shaun or
Yeah,
Barbara?
and
Or
a good singer. But if you
Yeah.
even watch Dreamgirls, the whole crossover thing, that's part of the narrative.
yeah.
And popular music was considered white. Popular music is just being popular. That's the rest of the world. But in the industry, that's where the fight is. And that's what was so oddly dysfunctional about it. You know what I mean? And so having a manager that thought it's a no-brainer, I can sing circles around Paula Abdul and dance circles around them, as well as Milli Vanilli, and I actually can sing live and all the things, he thought no-brainer. And then he went into the record companies and they're like, so talented and love the songs. I even did a video to show it's something beyond doing the Running Man.
Yeah.
My legs up here and I'm thrashing back and coming back up and putting my jacket, all the things showing there's more.
Wow.
And they were like, we don't know how to market you because we can't compare to anybody. So I'm like, I was supposed to come in and be like somebody, but that makes their job easier. But the pop department was ready, but I had to go through the Black department first, R&B, in order to be it, because I had to start there. If I start off pop, Black radio, no one will play me. There's politics in that. So I had to start off R&B and then cross over. And that was questioned. And because I already had examples of other people sign, and because I didn't just sing, I wasn't wasting my life trying to knock down the doors for a record deal. I was still doing other work. So I wasn't aggressively doing it, but seeing the game, I did not want to be signed for the sake of being signed and be shelved, or be signed to a group of people that didn't know what to do with me or didn't have a vision.
Right.
But it was educational at the same time, seeing it, but then still hearing, and then thinking I'm too pretty. They made me do another video that was a little more urban. So then I put the hair back, put a cap backwards, and they're like, now that really shows attention to his face, because my manager was just like, what? And then whatever the loyalties were for that particular person in the our R&B department, he was like, so if you're comparing him to Milli Vanilli and he sings better and Paula Abdul, that is the way you market him. But her vision of Black people, especially because that's her taste in Black men, were, you know, those guys, the rappers, the knuckle draggers. And I wasn't drawn that way. So they were gonna maybe give me like a single deal to see what happens, but I want you to be behind me or not behind me, not experiment.
Right.
And you can be an easy tax write-off for a record company.
Mm.
And I didn't want to, I want to have my own audience. I don't want you to choose my audience for me. Yeah. Bobby Brown sold 8 million and the rest of the world didn't buy his album. So who's gonna be my audience? And Bobby Brown loved me too. He knew my name and I'm like wondering why he knew me, asking me to teach him how to dance.
Wow.
But they underestimate the audience. They only go with the people that they know sold to keep that market going. You know what I mean? To take a chance would be a risk on their job as well. But if I did those things now, because now we have all the pronouns, everybody's more open, it's more diverse, there's lots of channels. Yeah. You can be drawn different ways. But then it was a little more structured. And on every level, whether it's white, Black, or whatever, a lot of people are opinionated in the entertainment. And a lot of people, I remember having a friend that had a friend. Mm-hmm. And I'm the person that likes everything. I see the good. Everybody's like, you always see the good. I was like, yeah, including in you. You know, but I make fun of for seeing the good, right? So I'm not rarely like walking out of a theater. Like I'm not like that person. Yeah. Some people are proud of themselves. They're like, I just walked out. I'm like, well, then you don't know if you like the movie then, because you walked out. You know what I mean? But they pride themselves on not liking or barely liking, or to give a compliment. It's like, or some people are like, I didn't want to like it, but I did. I'm like, why did you go somewhere to not like it? So there's those types of people. And this young lady every time we talked about a movie, she's like, yeah, but well, it was like always like pulling teeth for her to like something. And I never met anybody like that.
Yeah.
So remember Dead Men Walking with Susan Sarandon and Sean Penn?
Right.
Oscars, blah, blah, blah. It was the buzz, the whatever. And I was like, that was a good movie. It was a grown-up movie because I was younger, but it was still amazing.
Yeah.
She was asked again. We were in her presence. Now I'm like, okay, now what you gonna say? What you gonna say? Are you gonna like it? Because we were asking their opinion.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, it was good. It was still like constipation. But she's like, but I just, Susan Sarandon, redhead, being, just who she is, being a nun, I just couldn't buy it. I see her more as how she was with Kevin Costner with something. She played like more of a sexy vixen type of thing, Bull Dern or whatever. I don't know what the movie was. And I was like, that's your fault. People aren't called to the ministry because they have red hair or not. There's redhead nuns. Like, but you know what I mean? Like, what do you mean? So when you're talking about when do we break from the stereotype or the whatever, because it could be across the board, but if people have more than 5 friends or actually meet and converse with people that are complete strangers,
Right.
be surprised at their occupations versus how they look. Yeah. Only one that you have to look like is usually a model.
Oh my God. Hey, what brings you the most joy, in life?
Me in life? Well, there's a lot of things. I'm a foodie. And in my
What's your favorite food?
Because I'm a foodie, it's hard to say because it's when your palate is expanded from Korean barbecue to Thai to soul food, like all the things, it's usually what I'm in the mood for that day is my favorite because I can't pinpoint it. It's really hard. But also, even here talking about the entertainment and my career and yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
People, if I were to say the best thing that has ever happened is because I've been open to people, there ensues the adventures and getting to know other people and their thoughts and their cultures and all that. That has probably been the best part of my life. Humans. And because I'm an only child and I've always been open to the world, to the point of my mother was like, you're going to get kidnapped and you'll probably make friends with them. That's my personality. But I mean, the things I've been able to do with other human beings, it's still like to this day, something I look forward to every time I go outside. It's just amazing when you make another person smile or open them up and take them out of there. Or you go into, like, there's dudes that are drawn like that and they're yoked up or whatever. And I'm like, hey, do you like work out and stuff? And it throws them off because they're not used to anyone, you know what I mean? And they kind of like, yeah, I just started. Like, it just makes them laugh. It throws away the stereotype of what you think people are because there's teddy bears inside. A beautiful woman, you kind of think that she already knows, so you don't compliment her.
Yeah.
And you would think that was the first compliment they ever had. And then there's people that aren't story like by the book, but they have a feature or a thing that I dig or just whatever, but it's just fun to just open that door up and give them that moment and eat with people, make friends. Like I'm not done making friends. You can never have enough. And you can meet people where they're at and enjoy them where they're at and have the best time in that element without forcing.
Well, I'm so glad I got to meet you on the set of Kryptonite because it was just you walked up and all of a sudden, like I said before, there's this center, there's this old soul feeling, and there's this love.
Oh, thanks. I'm glad you felt that.
Of course. Listen, we have so many students here and not just students, actors, performers, dancers who'd like to ask questions. And I know that a few people sent in. Eric Chris, you had a question for Shaun. Hey, Eric.
Hi.
Hi, Eric.
Will you get your first big break for dance?
My first big break, actually, we discussed fame, but what you guys don't know is when I was in high school, they had a big cattle call for Fame because they already were filming Fame and legally they're supposed to have a union call for it. So over the summer, when I was like 16, everyone came to this call and I was narrowed down to the final. And I was on file for if they need extra dancers or if the dancers need to be replaced, because a lot of them had to come from New York and move to LA and they weren't adjusting properly. So some people were leaving, but I was on file. So now I'm in my 12th grade year of high school and Debbie Allen calls my house and wants to know if I'm available because I'm watching the whole season, but the last episode of the first season, one of the dancers had to leave. And I got to do an episode of Fame in my high school year as a senior.
Oh,
Illegally, because I did not know I was supposed to be 18 when I auditioned. I was only 16. And then by then I turned 17 because my birthday's in the fall. So when she found out on the phone, it was too late. She was like, just tell him to come. I won't say anything. Because you're supposed to have a legal guardian and a tutor on the set. And not even knowing that, I'm like open, like my school knew, oh my God, because we were rehearsing The Wiz for the production at our school. And Karen White was Dorothy.
and who did you play?
They wanted me to be the Scarecrow, but then there's the Emerald City sequence that's on the movie version that they were incorporating into the play. And I wanted to do that with my other friends. So I messed up the whole plan that the teachers had and ended up just doing the dancing part. And I got to be a funky monkey as well. They elevated me to be the lead funky monkey,
right.
But I wanted to dance with my other friends instead of starring in it with other people. So Karen was mad at me because she wanted me to work with her that way. But I was like, no, I want to do Emerald City sequence because they had the red and the green and whatever and the gold. So I did that, but I was open. It wasn't like I snuck and did the episode, you know, but I didn't have a tutor on the set. I didn't have anything. So I did like three days of work on Fame. And that was what let me know for sure that that's what I wanted to do before graduating. So after I graduated, then I pursued the entertainment. I didn't go to college or anything, but that was my first major dance gig.
Oh, I love that. Great question, Eric. Thank you.
Welcome. And I gotta ask you one more other question. What is your favorite dance moves for music for Michael Jackson?
Well, you know, we all love him when he spins and goes on his toes.
Oh,
That's just the epitome. You know, maybe the crotch grab second, but it's the spin toes.
I like the backward thing.
Yeah, the moonwalker. Yeah,
Moonwalker.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Thank you, Eric. Those were good.
Nice to meet you, Eric.
Let's see. Oh my gosh, we've got somebody. We've got so many people who want to say hello. I know. Where are you, Ranjani? Let's see. Ranjani sent in a question. Ranjani. Oh, there she is. Let's see. Ranjani.
Hey, David.
Hey, Ranjani.
Hey.
Hello.
Hello, son.
Hi.
Really good. Connection of dancing and singing in connection from I'm a dancer, so I let you know. So here's my question. I didn't know you were in Fuller House.
Yes.
Why you dance in the street in Fuller House?
Because it was supposed to be a surprise wedding proposal in the scene.
Oh.
Yes. So we were at Warner Brothers Studios and, you know, they have all the homes there in the streets. I even got to use my car in it because we had to park our cars to fill in the space. So my car got to debut as an actor. But yeah, it was a surprise wedding proposal.
Oh, nice.
So that's why it happened outside. Yeah.
Okay. How long has you been dancing and singing my favorite Broadway, Wet?
For Broadway, I did it from 97 until 2010. It was a nice long run. But what made it more fun was when I auditioned, they sent me to Boston, and that was the first national tour. And then I opened in Chicago as Angel. And then I was sent to Broadway the following year in 98. And I only did it for 6 months because I wanted to go back to the company I was with because they were coming to LA. So I got to come back to my company after 6 months. And then we closed in San Francisco, but we came here and we toured the United States. Then they sent me to another company that went to Japan and also Hawaii and all of the United States. And we closed again, the second company in San Francisco. So I took 2 years off, and then they asked me to come back to Broadway, and I did it the whole duration of the time for like 4 years and closed. Then we did a farewell tour to say goodbye to everybody because everyone was sad that we closed.
Yeah.
And we traveled to the United States, and that ended in 2010.
Wow.
So that was a nice long run on a Broadway show, but I got to switch it up.
Right.
So it made it fun instead of just New York.
Right. Well, thank you, Ranjani. That was great questions. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
And beside that, you were on you did different parts on the film. You played the life waiter, and then on stage you played several.
They did 2 movies.
Yeah.
They did the Hollywood version of it, and I played the waiter, 5 miso soup for seaweed salad. I was also part of the skeleton crew, so I helped develop it. I was there 6 months prior to develop it with the choreographer because he needed bodies because it's all interactive and it's movement that coincides with direction and choreography. So since I had experience clearly of doing it, I had to kind of help deeply today for you, tomorrow for me. I got to give him the journey of the movement and all that.
Yeah.
For the movie, for the choreographer as well. But yeah, I assisted and was like part of that process. And then since we all have a voice in Rent, I opted to do the waiter just to have a recording as opposed to just being ensemble and silent.
Right.
And then it was a surprise to my fellow castmates because I took a break from Broadway to do the film, and then I got to go back to Broadway. So I had to keep it quiet until they saw me do 5 miso soup on the film.
Oh, how cool.
But it was just good to have a voice because the skeleton crew got to pretty much be at the funeral scene and then the blah, 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 blah scene, all of it, but they were just kind of there reacting and being part of the posse. But I'm like, we all have a voice on stage. So I just wanted to at least have a voice in the movie and have that experience.
Yeah.
And I got to do the whole big tango scene, but we couldn't be prominent. We had to keep the formation as the ensemble because they had other people. They had to keep looking like new people showed up all the time. So I danced that part too.
Now you teach, correct?
Yes, but I'm not known as a teacher other than if I go to Japan or I'm a special guest. But I'm not here on a schedule teaching dance. No, I'm kind of known as a performer. But because I'm a special guest, because of my performing, I do that. But I'm not on a regular schedule. I'm going to Japan in September. I haven't been there since 2019 because—
To teach?
Yes, there's a Broadway dance center there, like there is in New York.
Yeah.
And they've consistently always kept one foreigner in rotation.
Got it.
So they have their whole staff and then whoever, because sometimes it's a contemporary dancer, sometimes they're more jazz funk or whatever. And then I represent jazz or whatever. And then I represent all the shows I've done. So it's kind of like more of the celebrity of that. But I've been doing it for a while where I have my own crowd. Now I'm just going to be going back after 4 years because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Probably starting over because it's a whole new breed of dancers and doing that whole thing. But I'm gonna be there in September up until October 17th.
Oh, how wonderful. Well, we have a lot of singers and actors and a lot of dancers at Performing Arts Studio West. And maybe we could like twist your arm one day to come to Inglewood and do one day, class or something.
Yeah, keep me posted.
I will. I know we're coming to a close and there's I could probably get one more question here, and I hear Tracy Turner, you're waving your hand, so we'll get Tracy Turner here. Hey.
Hi, Tracy.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
You're beautiful. Will you marry me?
Oh, thank you. My first proposal.
I did have a question for you. I totally understand what you mean about the box because when I was young,
the sound is weird.
I was the first one. Sorry.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
say it one more time.
I understand what you're talking about, the box, because for years I've been trying to get out of the box because my parents, brought me up as a good girl and as a sweet girl. And I love people, all kinds of people. You're welcome, I love people. I love meeting people. I believe in magic. But- And, and when I was a child, when I dreamed, I went to handicap. I went to handicap in my dream. I was normal. But now, when I got to college 30 years ago, the world just hit me. And I don't know how to keep going, man. I'm trying to, but I don't. I
How
just
do you keep? That's a good question. How do you keep going?
You,
me.
Shaun.
yeah. I just always had a belief that there is something for me. And in the meantime, I just keep myself prepped and ready. So when opportunity knocks, I'm ready for it, because still no one can take what's yours.
Mm.
But you also have to be ready when the opportunity comes. You know what I mean? So my life has worked out that way, and it's always been unpredictable, but it hasn't been on any level how I've planned anything.
Mm.
I can't plan anything because it's not in your hands.
Yeah.
Unless you make your own show. And even when you make your own show, you have to still seek approval for others. You know
And
what I mean?
yeah.
So I enjoy the process. And I also have balance because I enjoy my life as well.
Yeah.
And so making sure I'm ready and keeping prepped. I'm going to take dance class at 1 as well. I worked out at 9.
Yeah.
So I do that, but I love the beach. I love Magic Mountain. I loved my life as well. Because I do know when I was doing those shows, I didn't have much of a life.
Yeah.
I had Mondays off, and you're doing 8 shows a week.
Mm.
So when you do get things, sometimes you don't have time for your friends and the people and all that. So I love working when I'm working, but when I'm not, I love that too. But it's balance, and every day, that's always a challenge for balance. But I enjoy the process by mentally believing that it's not in vain, and what's mine is mine. And you just have to wait. And it's seasonal. If you look at other stars, it's seasons.
Yeah.
Not always just one time and it just stays.
Yeah.
It's seasonal.
Yeah.
And
Just keep
you have to be ready too when things change. You have to grow with the change. You can't be stubborn and stay in that box that you were 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of grow with the way the world is as well, and learn and keep up on everything.
Yeah. I'm feeling that right now, just with the change, even with, the passing of time and the passing of family and the growth of self. So Thank you, Tracy. That was a wonderful question.
I'll see you at the wedding.
Oh, I know. Can I hold the train?
Right.
One last question, because I know our time is up for today. What do you want the most at this moment in your life?
It's crazy because I know I'm always telling my friends, because we're all in the entertainment and goal seeking, whether they want the record deal, they want this. I do want to get back to TV. I want my name to be on shows created by. Oh. I do have irons in the fire because of ideas I've had for those. Waiting for the opportunity to come is still what I have to be patient for, but feedback wise, everyone wouldn't be surprised if it happened. Even Shanice, all know that I have ideas, and they even try to push them in other directions too to make it happen. So ultimately, it would be great I want to leave a mark, you know what I mean, and say that Shaun did that as well.
Yeah. But
also just showing peace so that people can learn that as well is also have been my mission. Like, it stresses me out when people are stressed out. So I'm always trying to find my friends peace, because I don't want you to look at life in the way that they're looking. So enjoying the process and having that peace and knowing the moments that we share in between are just as important than just, I need to get a record deal, or I need to get a TV show, or everything in between matters. And I've seen people, and I've lost people in the process from the most unassuming reasons. When you have people that you already know are diagnosed with cancer and all that, and you're praying for them and they're fighting, and then your friend's gone because he has an aneurysm. I just had a friend 2 weeks ago come over for a vacation from Chicago and died on the vacation here. The
Ah,
body's being shipped probably as we speak.
so sorry.
You know what I mean? So you don't know. You just don't know. And it's not guaranteed because you're diagnosed with something. You don't know. So living each day as if it's your last has been something I've always lived by. My mother used to have a poster when I was little because she was a hippie. And it said, today is the first day of the rest of your life. And I used to read it like, today is the first day. Like, it was so deep to me. I'm in elementary, like, of the rest of your life. Today, like, I repeat it like, today is, you know what I mean? Like, just to compute it. And so many things from Listen to Earth, Wind, and Fire, that was message music and all the things, it probably resonated in my spirit as well, because my mother used to sit me down and tell me to listen to the lyrics. She taught me how to listen to the lyrics. So all those prominent things and factors in my life have become a reality, in a way, a lifestyle that made everything enjoyable, you know? So maintaining my peace has always been something, because that's success to me. I know a lot of successful people that have all the things that we look outside and watch, no peace, no friends, not happy. But we look at them wanting that only, and they have nothing else. Even the process of getting there wasn't with friends, wasn't with family, wasn't with anything. It was just the fight. And then they get to the top and they're alone. And they haven't worked on themselves. They still have the insecurities. They have all the issues.
Yeah.
They didn't clean as they go, when they go, you know. So when they get there, they're just like, that's how some people fall hard, whether it's drugs, whether it's whatever, because you're not groomed for success.
Yeah.
You just get success, but who you are to maintain it matters the most. So you have to dial in and be the best you. The accolades don't make you anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Thank you for you.
you're welcome.
And
Thanks for the interview and reaching out.
of course. Let's all we're gonna remove all the spotlights. We'll take
Someone right here has been like, her hand has been up the whole time.
we
She has a black sleeve. I see the glasses and a ponytail.
oh, is that Savan?
And she's been like, I've seen it the whole time.
Then I will get Savan.
Yeah.
I didn't want
Yeah.
to
She's been polite and it's just been like not moving.
I didn't want to keep you. So let's get Savan. Hold on one second here. There we go. Hold on. Wait, I'm doing here. I have to add everybody back. Oh, here's this. Add spotlight. And then we have Savan. And then we have,
There you are. Hello.
there we go. Hold on. There's Shaun. Okay. Boom. Savan.
Hi.
Hi.
What type of words or wisdom that you give others when you dance and stuff like that?
Words of wisdom is definitely, you have to, like, you heard about me earlier, I was blissful in my ignorance when I was approaching the entertainment without being trained. It was still an enjoyable thing, but I was blissful because I did not know any better. So it still worked for me. But I still think training is very important, because you have to show confidence when you do audition for whatever you want to. So you have to put yourself in a position to be well equipped so that when opportunity knocks, you're ready. Because sometimes it doesn't show up that often.
Right.
And you don't want to miss the train because you didn't get it together. You know what I mean? So it's very important in the downtime, during the strike, whatever's going on, to focus on yourself on every level, so that when it's time, you'll have all the equipment and all the things that you need to have the process be nice. You want to be happy in your dressing room and not insecure. You want to know that you're going to nail it because you are ready. You want to be ready. So always just, you have to be ready. You just always have to make sure you're ready. Because you don't know. You don't know
Right,
when
yeah.
that time is going to happen. Because when I got Rent, before that, I was on the road with Reba McEntire. And that was 3 years of just dancing. So I wasn't exercising my voice on a normal level, but I had to do it on my own, knowing that I do sing, whether it was singing along or I had to make sure vocally I was still using it on my own. Because unbeknownst to me, when I finished Reba, they sent me on a call for a Broadway show that has you singing 8 shows a week. So if I just stayed in the lane of dancing and wasn't exercising my voice, I wouldn't have been ready. And you have to be ready on a different level when you have to have stamina for 8 shows a week. And that was tested because I've never had to, artists don't even sing 8 shows a week. They'll do a tour, maybe do a weekend.
Right.
But artists having to keep yourself healthy or whatever, I still had to learn the process, but at least I kept my vocals going. So just whatever you like to do, just be ready. Just constantly be ready. So you're ready when they come knocking at your door, you're like, ah! You know what I mean? Or you're like dancing, you're ready, you're dancing, you're ready. Whatever you want to do, you know what I mean? You want to be in shape. Yeah.
Thanks for everything.
You're welcome.
Amazing.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Have a good day.
Thanks.
How are we doing? We good on time?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm glad I saw her though, because she was above me. So I
Yes.
just kept seeing the whole time. So
Right. It's
Okay.
like I always say I want to get everybody in, but we only have so much time. But I'm glad you saw Saban and
Yeah.
and now let's just all take a group shot and thank Shaun. We'll remove the spotlights on the count of 3. What word should we say, Shaun?
Inspire.
Ooh. Okay. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Inspire.
We love you, Shaun. Thank you.
Love you more. Nice meeting all of you. Have a great day.